checking for ignition, checking lights, hydraulics, clear with ground runway tower. Are we clear to depart? Yes. Okay. Over. How are we doing, guys? Ooh, that sounds a little awful. Let me dial that in. Just dial it in just a little bit. Just a little bit. I say Colt 45 and 2 zigzags, baby, that's all we need. We can go to the park after dark and smoke that tumbleweed. As the marijuana burn, we can take our turn singing them dirty rap songs. We'll stop and hit the bong like Cheech and Chong, then we'll sell my tapes from here to Hong Kong. So roll your joints, pick out the seeds and stems. Feeling high as hell, flying through front Palmdale, skating on Dayton rims. So roll my Cadillac 83 Coupe de Ville. If my tapes and my CDs just don't sell, well, I guess my caddy will. What's going on, everybody? How are we doing? I think you can hear me. I think you can see me. Might be better if you couldn't see me, but you can hear me, probably, I think. I'm good for takeoff. Yeah, so someone knew what I was doing. Alex, can you do a poll, see how many people started off with carnival goldfish? You know, I can't in this stupid, well, actually, maybe I can now. They do have new options. Let me see if it lets me now. I'm not on the YouTube I'm on StreamYard. And so YouTube lets you do that live when you're on a computer. But when I'm on, right now, I'm both in tablet mode or live streaming mode. So people who are just scrolling and looking at live feeds, they'll see this right now, as well as the folks who are, you know, striking a pose, watching it on a laptop or a TV or whatnot. I can't, but I would love to know that if you got your first fish as either a betta or a goldfish, and you probably called it a beta back then, if you're of any age, let me know in the chat right now. I would love to know what everyone's first fish was. Like, just fire it off. And if it was at a pet store feeder fish, that's another one that, like, you know, I'm pretty sure. So I want here's my story, guys. It's a quick one. It's an easy one. My first fish, and I saw somebody, I think it was Aquafunk. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Or Aqua Hype, was it? Who was it? Who's in here? Who was it? Was it Aquafunk or Aqua Hype? Oh, it's Aqua Hype. Was saying, will Alex show his tanks? I will show my tanks. I just have my phone is at 20% right now, so it's charging like right next to me right here, and it's charging quickly. Like, I think, oh, it's already at 23. So yeah, we'll do that when I have enough juice. So probably at like the 20-minute mark or something, we can go take a look at my craptastic tanks that I'm down to. Basically 2 tanks in the common living area, and then I'm down to the aquascape tank in the dining room, breakfast nook, whatever you want to call that extra room we kind of have with the sunlight. And then I have 6 tanks with anything living in them in the back room. So I am down from 34. And then I have a few ponds, which, to be realistic, I was supposed to do it last week, but I couldn't catch a ride. And my truck is like, it's not broken down. My truck works, but it gets very hot very quickly, and it's just sucking through oil. So I need to replace a couple things on it, and we're pretty sure we know, like, we need to get a new oil filter in there. We need to do a couple different things. But it's also just 200,000 miles on a Ford, which is like, you know, they're great, but it's also 25 years old. So I don't drive it anyways down the freeway very often, if I can help it. And so it's great for just running a mile or two, but I don't run down the freeway with it. So before I tell you the story of my first fish, I wanted to let you know that Google has been, they email you every week, and they tell you what's new in YouTube land and in Google ads. If you've ever promoted your channel, then they think that you're somebody, they treat you just like a business that would advertise on Google. So they assume that you're both sides of the equation, which leads to some really weird, like almost makes you feel like you have a split personality, because they're talking to you and they're like, have maximum, you're going to make a maximum amount of money by doing these things for advertisers that will make people want to advertise with you and pay you more. And then they have the flip side of it, which is if you're advertising, this is how you can get the most bang for your buck from those channels that are the hottest channels. So it's basically like, hey, advertiser, you know, if you want to advertise, here's how you screw over the content creators. Hey, creators, here's how you squeeze every last penny from those people who want to place ads. And they don't really think about the fact that like most channels now have tried promoting their own channel, at least, you know, a couple $100 or something, or whatever it may be. A lot of people are putting like half of their income back into promoting their channel just to make it look like it's an active channel. Now, Aquarium Co-op isn't doing this, and you can, if you go to Social Blade and look at their like drop off the last year, it's nuts. So something's gone on in the pet industry that I'm not going to talk about analytics or anything for long, but I just thought that was interesting, getting the emails from both sides of the equation. And today they were like, hey guys, you know what you should do, because these are sometimes the slow months as people are getting back out into the real world. So this is a great time to really connect with your true followers. And to do that, it says, I should make up goals for you guys. So I should say, when we have 50 people in the chat, I'll stream another half hour. When you guys hit the like button and we get 50 likes, I'll stream another 15 minutes, or I'll show an aquarium I've never shown. I'm supposed to gatekeep from you guys. Like I'm supposed to just give you slop and crap until you guys give me money or benchmarks. It was a very odd letter from like email of this is how you should run your channel. And I know a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, only 40 more bucks and we'll unlock next half hour's stream, and like they'll have like a little like, you know, thermometer or whatever, or like a little race with like a little people running on it at the bottom, and like every time someone kicks in a bucket, it goes by there. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna do that here, guys, unless we do something for charity. But I just thought that was if that's the direction that every little aspect of YouTube is going, I'm gonna like throw up in my mouth, and then I'm gonna leave YouTube. So if anybody has like a good suggestion for an alternative to YouTube that isn't like that, like I don't like Twitch either. It's too much like bing, 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 bing. It's like a slot machine. I don't want that. I just want people to know, hey, it's you, it's me, and whatever we're pointing the camera at. Maybe if I pop on the internet, I'm sharing a screen. But as things get more and more slick looking, more and more produced looking, without people having to actually be doing it, so as it's all AI and you know you can have transitions and all these things that make it look slick, I want to do that less. So I'm just going to be real with you guys and say that I'm going to do less of that stuff. And I have been kind of in this holding pattern as a channel, and I really apologize. I've had like this writer's block where I've been trying to decide like, wow, what do I do on the video? What am I going to make? And then I, you know, edit half of it. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. No one's going to see it. The algorithm's going to show it to 40 people. And then it's just maybe 200 people will see it by the end of the week. And I want 1,000 people or more to see this. So I'll let it come out once I've done a no-brainer video that does well. So like a top 10 fish list or something like that. Then I'll release the video that's the important one, near and dear to my heart, about how fish collecting companies are using different poisons to collect fish, neurotoxins and things, where they just stun all the fish, and 50% die of lack of oxygen or from convulsions. And they literally just scoop them up off the top of the water with the power boat. Like they'll go by at trolling speed and just scoop up all the fish that have gone boop, up, belly up. And there is like precedence for this in the Amazon as that's a very old way of fishing, where there's a few different plants where they will I think it's, what is it called, amako, depending on where you're at in the Amazon. That's the old traditional way, where they take this vine and they like mash it up and it becomes all frothy and soapy. And what it does is it actually causes all the dissolved oxygen in the water to like suddenly dissipate out of the water. And so it comes to the surface and starts sudsing like bubbles. And they'll do that, and they'll take these sticks and they'll score them like 5 or 6 times, like in a crosshatch on the end of the stick, and then they'll peel back the pieces on like a bamboo pole type sized stick. And then with those kind of peeled back like a broom, or kind of like if you ever saw a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he puts his finger in the end of the shotgun and the whole thing peels back kind of like a banana. It kind of looks like that, except for it's dripping this white soapy stuff that's the pitch or the sap inside the plant. And as it mixes with the water and they're like churning it kind of like a butter churn or whatever, it's just causing these bubbles and suds in like confined ponds that have kind of been cut off from other parts of creeks. Or they'll put a net at one end and then they'll work their way down like 100 yards down a little stream, and all the fish will be floating upside down by the time they get to the other end. Really interesting. Anyways, let me read chat real quick. I did want to talk about our first fish experiences today. I think that nowadays I obviously have a number of fish that I would recommend for different people, different fish. But I do think that a lot of us, especially if you're over, say, 30 nowadays, especially if you're over 50, you probably started with like a goldfish or a paradise fish, kissing fish as they're sometimes called, or gourami. And guppies were also pretty popular, but like mostly goldfish. Bettas were not super popular on a national stage. They were in a lot of big cities, but as you get back away from the cities, it was actually pretty hard to find anything other than kind of your standard Betta Splendens domestic line, which is like, it could be blue, it could be green, it could be kind of a purple with some blue, or it could be green with some blue, or it could be red with blue. But you kind of had this like color palette that was pretty standardized. You weren't seeing the bright yellows and stuff like that exactly. Oh, hey, sorry, Johnny. I saw that you did this earlier too. Thank you so much, brother. So I saw your super chat, bud. $5 right there from Johnny Best, Johnny Quest. What's up, man? Good to see you. I feel you saying that you want more videos on breeding fish, and yeah, we could do that. I want to breed some more fish again. I want to, I've already done videos on how to breed like rice fish and stuff. The problem is that with most fish that I've bred, there is not a magic secret to that fish. There is a class of fish, and I've already covered it. And what I should make clear is I should maybe make a video series eventually where I show the breeding setup of the breeding tank. Because you're always going to want, if you can, to feed your fish live food for 2 weeks before. Separate the males and females if you can. So you at least have 3 tanks. And you have their community tank, or wherever the colony or wherever that species hangs out. Maybe there's lots of species in the tank. Maybe it's a species only tank. I don't know. But you've got that tank where your adults are at. And then you've got another tank, and either you take all the females and put them in their own tank and then feed them tons of high protein food. Now, you can't just give them sheer protein. Like, you want to give them about 50 to 60% protein a day. And then the rest still needs to be fiber and, starches, and, it needs to be rounded fats and things like that. But they do need a very high average of protein, even if there are things like live bearers, because they're going to make eggs out of that. Even live bearers, they're going to make placental or egg or yolk or whatever the birthing method is. They still have to make protein, fat, energy, for the babies, and a way to store it. So it's either going to be fat or protein, pretty much. So that's important. Then when you're in the breeding stage, you obviously can put them back together, the males and females. And some will say they should be in their communal tank. If it's a species only tank, like just put them back together, and they've been apart for 2 weeks. This is also, though, when you want to feed small live food if they're predators. So if they're not if they're live bearers, that's not as important, right? Or if they're algae eating plecos, that's not important. You can just add algae wafers and, blanched zucchini or whatever for catfish and things. But for Corydoras, you might want to tailor that as bloodworms or blackworms, if you can get live either ones of those. Right now, through the end of summer, if you have tubs and barrels in your yard all across the United States or any of the Northern Hemisphere, you'll probably end up with either mosquitoes, kind of like scuds and daphnia in green water. It'll be one of those two things, or you'll end up with bloodworms and a mix of those things, right? And a lot of times you've seen it in my videos in the past where I can go along the side of an aquarium or of a barrel or a tank out back, a tub, a Tupperware tote, and literally just use a spatula or a butter knife or whatever, and a net, like an aquarium net behind it, and just scrape 100 off the wall, every couple days, of live bloodworms, which are just like the mayfly or caddisfly type larvae that hang out. Well, they're not caddisfly larvae, they're mayfly larvae. Midges, actually, is what they are. But anyways, yeah, there's a number of them. There's over 200 species that have red little worms. Now, be careful. A lot of people are allergic to them. I am. So you don't want to handle them unless you're good to go. But put that in with your fish, especially with catfish or bottom dwelling fish. They'll love that. Cichlids will love that. And you have to make sense for the size of the fish. So if you're doing something like cichlids, you probably want to put something like daphnia or live baby brine shrimp, something like that, in the tank. And as I've said before, this is once the males and females are both fat and plump and ready to spawn, and they've been reunited, and it feels so good, and they're going to get it on. And this might also be a good time depending on your aquarium. So this is where things vary. Up to this point, you can kind of do this with most fish, and it's either going to help or not, or it won't hurt. You do all that. You get the female nice and fat and plump, ready, full of protein, ready to make her eggs. The thing is, some species need a month or 2 months of priming to be ready to lay eggs, and they're only going to do it once or twice a year, and that makes it very difficult. A lot of hill stream or cooler species, a lot of loaches, and you can predict, knowing where they're from, if they're wild caught or a couple generations removed from the wild, when-ish they tend to spawn, and that it's usually when the water is 10 degrees cooler, than it is in the peak of summer. And there's all sorts of things that I've talked about in videos, but if we're talking rice fish, pseudomagills, rainbow fish, those are all mop spawners, or goldfish even. Those are all mop spawners that basically you don't even need to do those other steps with a ton. They help, you know, they're still going to give you more eggs. They're going to give you healthier fry. But then you pull the MOPS out and deal with that. So what I could do is I could do a video on like the basic of getting your fish seasoned and then getting your fish. So then I've done like how to spawn any nano fish basically is what I've done a video on, for instance, like any tetra or rasbora. Pencil fish are another one that's kind of in that same category, and any kerosins. The thing you can do there though is you can either put a screen down, you can either put moss or mulm or, you know, lots of fine leaf plants at the bottom of a glass tank and just have this tank set up for the babies basically. Now, when you do this, you're either going to have to come up with something like vinegar eels or white worms or paramecium or some type of food that you can get every day from a tank and add enough that the babies can find it and eat it. And that's why a lot of people will have a spawning chamber that's only like 2.5 gallons or 5 gallons, so that maybe like 3 females and 1 or 2 males, something like that ratio with a lot of fish, can get together. They can spawn in there. Once the eggs are laid, most people will say get your fish out of there unless they're parental carrying fish. But my trick that I have told everybody time and time again, more important than water changes or pressure drops or doing it on a rainy night, or there's all these little tricks that kind of help when you know, oh, I've got a tetra or a rasbora. Either side of the planet, they're both southern hemisphere and they're both like monsoon season or rainy season generally spawners, and you know, kind of equatorial weather spawners. And it's either dry or wet season, and what sets them off is usually when the wet season is starting up again, because that's when all the insects get washed into the waterways. The waterways all start rising and connecting, and so as soon as that quick moving water is done, like flash flooding and stuff, then the fish are going to venture out from their little hiding spots and go collect food and lay their eggs and things. And that way the babies have the best chance evolutionarily in reaching the farthest away places and establishing more populations far away. Also, you know, that's why fish a lot of times, and this is what gets me, this is another important note when we're talking about raising fish, is if you have baby fish and you notice, and this happened with my elastomas really bad with the pygmy sunfish, the little blue ones. We had those on the counter. We had 41 born initially. 37 made it to the 4-week mark. And they were all kind of about the same size at that age. By the 8-week mark, some were 3 times bigger than the others. And so you have these kind of runts and brutes in your like litters or in your spawning groups a lot of times. Now in the wild, fish that don't take care of their young, that's fine, because they're going to go swim off and they're just going to eat bigger insect larvae or other fry from other species, or, you know, shrimp or whatever it may be at whatever size whenever they get to that point. But in our aquariums, a lot of times what happens is one big one, especially if it's a well-planted tank, can hide in that moss and just pick off every little one. So when we had 37 at 8 weeks, what I should have done is split them all up, because at 10 weeks, when I collected them all and was like, I feel like there's a lot less, that's when I realized, holy cow, we're down to 25. So I had to split them up at that point. And then I needed to do it again when they were like sub-adults. So you do have to manage your babies a lot with certain fish. Now, there's other species that are a little easier, like rams or cribs, cichlids. They're not going to have necessarily as many babies in some of the species, but then there's other species like jewel cichlids, Turkana jewel cichlids, Congochromis, Benitochromis, things like that. Any of the kind of Central African or West African, even into the Rift Lake African cichlids, they have like 50 to 500 babies. And so it's fine if 200 babies eat each other, you know, when there's 500. You still have 300 fry. And you're like, what am I ever going to do with that many fry when they grow out to be, you know, yay big fish or whatever? So they kind of handle themselves in some of those situations. But I could do a video series, Johnny, where I go back and I clarify that. So for in a playlist where it's like, because, you know, I've done videos on like, here's how you spawn Corydoras, or here's how you breed Coolie loaches, or here's how you breed, you know, whatever. A lot of my species spotlights happen to be done when I happen to be breeding those fish. That's another thing that's really I'm having a hard time with as a channel, is when I can't drive due to health stuff, with a cast on my foot, or having surgery every Tuesday. I have it's light surgery, but they just scalpel my foot, and basically the skin that's not healing properly has to be what they call debrided. So that ends up making it so that I can't drive though for another day or two. So I only have a couple days of the week where I'm like independently driving lately for like a year. And that's also subject to if I feel good from the other issues I have. So that has limited me from when I had a room of 34 tanks and I had 50 species of fish that could be breeding, and I could be playing musical fish, and always had 10 tanks of something breeding, and people coming and going, trading, swapping. Like it was like I was a fish dealer, you know, meeting people in 7-Eleven parking lots and handing them, you know, wet bags for $20, you know, like underhand, just what's good, man. I only got stopped once in all my time doing that, which I think is funny because I drive this beater truck that looks bad. It looks like, yeah. But usually in our fish club, it's someone in like a brand new Tesla or something. I'm the one who looks sketchy as hell. Sorry guys, my allergies and all that. You know, I've had that cold for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I was worried it might be turned into like bronchitis or pneumonia or something, but I don't think it has. I think it's mostly out of my chest, but now it's just kind of finally clearing out. It's just one of those ones that lingered. Let's see here. Elf Puncher, what's going on? Yeah, I could sing you guys songs, and you or you know, as incentives, I could sing songs. Like YouTube wants those incentives, wants me to make up incentives for you guys. Well, I could do that, or I could threaten to sing if you don't give me money. So like if you don't give me money, I'm gonna sing, rather than I will sing if you give me money. I'll just sing so badly that you'll be like, dear Lord, please stop. Alexander Evans, all you remember was a clearish first fish with a blue ink spot. I'm afraid it might have been one of those tattooed fish. Never seen it again. This was 1992. Huh. Let's see. Clearish blue ink spot. Yeah, you might have gotten what they call like candy fish, or, you know, dyed fish. It could have been like a bleeding heart tetra, or something like that. Also skirt tetra that they also injected dye into, or X-ray tetra. Yeah, I know this is from earlier, and I'm gonna try to get caught back up in a sec here, but USMC, you're totally right. It's hard. All y'all I care about are here. I don't want to make people go to a new platform or anything. I'm just, you know, I just get tired of how much they change stuff around. I wish that they could just have a a form of YouTube that just, they're like, we're not going to mess with it. It's just going to be legacy. And you can turn on the following things and opt in to participate if you want. Like, how hard would that be? That's like how Craigslist, that's how other things have been, or eBay or whatever. And some people may say, oh, it's not exciting enough, or, it's for today's generation. That's that's not gonna fly or whatever. But I think it would be fine, because I think the people who want all the video games playing on the side of the screen while someone's talking about their love life or telling a story about some crazy weekend they had, like, I know what kind of streams are out there, and some of them I am having anxiety watching. Some of the ones where it's like these 20-year-old kids, I don't know how they do it, where they're like, hey, thanks for the super chat, thanks for the jewels, thanks for that, and things are going off on all over the screen. Even Father Fish, like, I don't know how he does it. He's got assistants and stuff, but when he has some of his streams and he's having people come up and stuff, it's like, dear Lord, I would have a meltdown. But thank you, Johnny, again. I saw your super chat, the 5 and the 10. So appreciated, bro. Also, I wanted to shout out to Daniel. He is in Denmark. Daniel in Denmark. And he is a real cool dude. And he has moved from paying on Patreon or anything else. He just sends me $25 a month on PayPal. And I pay them the 3%, at the end of the quarter. I got to pay my taxes or whatever, but I get to write things off too. So if I want to get a better, it's hard to say that I need a better this, that, or the other. I have like 3 microphones sitting around here. Sometimes I just don't care to use a microphone. I just, whatever. But I should be using microphones every time and doing a separate audio track and rendering that. It's just, sometimes I can't be bothered, can't be buggered by it. U.S. Marine Corps saying her first fish was a veil-tail beta. Lived 4 years, did a fish in cycle because I thought if I'll get a fish and realize how much it actually entailed. I thought, oh, F it. I'll get a fish. And then you realized how much okay, I got it. I'm slow there. I was reading small. When I read it, when I made it larger on my screen, I could understand you, and I realized that I'm having a cognitive breakdown. Not you. AquaHype gonna buy the co-op under gravel filter and use pieces as egg catchers in a small. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. I need to go run up to Aquarium Co-op. Their main store, AquaHype, is right by my house. It's the original Aquarium Co-op flagship store in Edmonds is not even 4 miles from my house. It's like 3 as the crow flies. So I can get there in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on traffic, because traffic's pretty terrible cutting across that part of town. But yeah, I should go over there and check that out. I also need to get, and where are we at? We're plenty charged on my other phone too. So let me get caught up on the comments real quick, and then we'll do a walk around and I'll show you guys the crap hole that is my fish room and the mess that is my jungle tank, and then we've got the lake inlay tank or tie border tank that is immersed mostly, and then we've got the aquascape tank. And the aquascape tank, boy, it's teaching me a lot of things. Not all of them are ideal. Not all of them. I'm trying not to put, what's the word? I'm trying not to sell the ADA system short. If it's something, because sometimes you pay the price by having to do 50% water changes 3 days a week for months, but then the next 2 years are easy peasy, and you don't have to go buy fertilizers. And so if it balances out more like that, if I feel like it's a curve that just took a while to level out, that's fine. If this is the like how hot it runs and you're always balancing between the nutrients and the CO2 and the algae from forming, and you kind of have to use your most sterile plants at all times, like using tissue cultures and stuff, because I used plants from my style of aquarium that are covered in 30 kinds of algae, but no one algae generally wins out for very long in my other tanks. And that was kind of like an intentional way I've kept fish for a long time. Thoughts on using terrestrial arthropods and insects as a food source? It's great for medium-sized fish. I don't know if it's ideal for nano fish. A lot of them can't quite. I've actually had isopods, earwigs, like little stuff that I found under, and even worms that I've fed to. Threadfins are the worst because they have such tiny mouths, but to threadfin rainbows, to pseudomagil luminatus or furcatas, all those fish I've watched choke to death, unfortunately, on insects or worms because they try to wolf down something too big with their little mouth. And I've literally had to try to like reach in and like, intervene, grabbing them, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, can I blow down the side of their gill and it'll pop out their mouth? Is there a fish Heimlich maneuver? I don't know. But yeah, I would say just be careful. Look at the size of the mouth of the fish, and also look at any parts that could hurt. So, wingless fruit flies, don't worry about it. They're great. A centipede, I don't know. I'd probably hold off because there's a lot of crunchy, sharp little edges in there, So, but if you got a pacu or, whatever, an Oscar, and you got some sort of millipede or centipede that's, small, maybe it's probably fine, but it might be poisonous. That's the other thing. I don't know how tuned in they would be to wherever you live, wherever you're getting your insects, to know that. That being said, most of the time, just feeding them something like grubs or small insects is not going to kill them. But I don't want to lead you astray. If you live in like Texas or Florida, there are some stinging little buggers that are pretty bad, things out there. Let's see here. Oh, Robert J. Clark, member for a month. Really appreciate it. Working towards my first fish ever. Right on, dude. I'm glad. I'm amazed that that you're doing that. That's great. I would not have the patience, honestly. If I was just now learning about fish, as excited as I get about everything when I learn about it at first, I would have gone out and bought the wrong thing, killed half of them, and had to be like, crap, I need to be humbled and like do it again, but better. And then I probably have to do it another time. Like, that's just the nature of how my obsessions tend to go. Now, with living things, I am a little more once bitten, twice shy. But with things like starting a new project or a new skill or craft, oh no, I might cut my finger off. I might, break a window, whatever it may be. If that has to happen for me to get my learning to do, I don't know, grout, that's what's going to happen. Or if I'm obsessed with whittling, so be it. I don't need 5 fingers on each hand. Coffee. That was my afternoon coffee. It's pretty late coffee for me. Alex, when Skittles Gastromyzon tank? I know, I was talking with Chang about that, and I was thinking about when I go to his shop, like, should I do if he has enough of them right now, like a top 10 countdown of some of my favorite ones. At one point, he had 19 species in the shop, and he was listing them as like the blue tail one, and he had like online it listed as one. But when you look in the tank, you'd see that there was like a blue tail, and then some of the blue tails had like yellow on the blue, and others were like a very light ethereal blue, and others were like electric blue. And so there's definitely a ton of species of those damn things right now. And those, if you combine what's coming out of southern China and the cave districts and the slot canyon valleys and things, the needle hills and the Vietnam, where that goes down into Vietnam and Thailand also, and Laos. And then you add that together with Borneo. Oof, there are so many fish coming out right now. Usually I do an episode each year on where we could expect to see the most new freshwater fish coming out of. And that's something that I didn't have a feeling for at the beginning of this year, because of all politics and, literally not knowing whether world shipping and freight would be interrupted, whether the Suez and the Strait of Hormuz waterways and the Red Sea would be shut down, or whether pirates in the Strait of Malacca or China or the US for that matter, whoever, if somebody decided to shut down the Strait of Malacca, I mean, between the south of Africa, south of Argentina and Chile, and then where the Houthis and the Somalis and Arabs are on the Red Sea. And then you've got Turkey, who technically controls like the Black Sea, the Bosphorus and stuff. The Baltic, though, now the UK and Germany and Poland and Sweden and Switzerland, or not Switzerland, Sweden and Norway are all getting very involved in trying to stop the Russian oil from making its way around these like black ships that have ports of call in Africa or in Southeast Asia, but they're really just secretly selling Russian oil or liquid natural gas and whatnot. There's also submarines and things that are going around and chasing one another at the moment. It's very odd, but there's basically 6 spots around the world right now where if things kick off badly, for instance, if Taiwan and China get sucked in, then everything's off the table with any video I make. Same with if the US decides that we're going to control the whole Arctic shipping route and the northern Baltic and North Sea, everything's off then. But that is save for those kind of situations, which I would say were like 1 in a million, not really 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100. Now I'm like 50-50. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do know that like everything in the world seems to be shaking out, and what seems to be pretty clear is that people are sick of war in the countries where they haven't even had to deal with the war. So can you imagine how sick of war people are in the countries where they've had freaking bombs going off and family members dying and kids going off to fight? Awful. But yeah. So Johnny, of course we're good, bro. Where's my cat? Hold on. The cat comes when I sing, usually. And so that was kind of odd that she didn't cruise by, but I don't know. Let's go look for her. I'm almost caught up. And oh, Robert J. Clary, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate your super chat also, man. Especially at the end of the month, every little last drip counts. I know that's half a gallon of gas for you, I'm sure. So it really does. I do appreciate it. Never expected, but appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. The other thing that I'm trying to do is I'm well aware of the fact that I've been in a place mentally where I really don't know what in the heck I wanted. Like I'm just having such problems with writer's block and with making content, and then I look at it and I'm like, no, it's not the way I want it to be, and I don't want anybody to see that. I can do a better job, or I'll wait until I have better footage. And I need to stop that. I need to just show you guys what I'm making, just get it out there, because I know this month is the worst I've done since I was in the hospital as far for making standalone videos. I think I've only made like 3, and it's been like, I don't know, 10 days or something since I've even made a video at all. So what I was trying to say though is that if I don't do that, I'm trying to at least then be in the comments as always, but I'm trying to be on the live stream for you guys to at least be answering questions, and at least like whatever it is you guys are excited about, come here and let's talk. Okay. So that's kind of my promise to you going forward, is as long as I'm physically able and willing, which has been a big part of the problem, to be honest. But like today, when I'm feeling like, I took my nap before we did this, I'm ready, I'm pumped up, I'm fired up. I want to talk about fish. I want to chat with you guys. I'm so happy to see you guys. If you haven't noticed, I've been doing 2.5, 3 hour streams. And it's because I still have so much I want to say and talk about. It's just I don't want to sit and edit 4 or 5 hours of what I can tell you guys in 10 minutes and then feel like it right now on everything is so uncertain on YouTube. Now, I know I still need to just crank it out and get things out and keep making things, regardless of if no one watches them, regardless of if I'm just making them for now and I have to repost them later because literally no one saw them the first time I put them up. And I don't mean no one, I mean 500 people see it. On a channel with 100,000 people, that's really frustrating when something like that happens. And you know that another very similar video did 40,000 or something. Now, you don't expect grand slams out of the park every time. Sometimes you lay a bad egg. Sometimes people aren't interested in the thing that nerdy old Alex is obsessed with in the moment. But there are these kind of grandiose projects too that I have in my head, and I keep kind of starting at pulling the threads on those and then not actually going and getting like, okay, so let's say we're going to talk about another video I wanted to make. So I posted about a week and a half ago 4 videos that I've started work on all of. Like I have filmed footage for all of them and either don't have an outline or I have the entire script written for a half hour or 20-minute video and don't have all the footage yet. So those ones that I asked you guys, do you want to see a species spotlight? Well, I have 2 that are basically ready with about 4 or 5 hours of editing each. So I'm trying, guys, but I'm really am having a funky time. So that's why I want to just talk to you guys on these live streams like this. And I want to show you guys my tanks today too, just so you can see like what's new, I don't know what I've been doing. Has Alex been doing anything? Because I've also been just kind of trying to take in my aquarium and like enjoy seeing new plant forms that I've never seen grow before in the higher tech tank. That is fun. But my heart really does lie in breeding fish. Like I love watching fish and know that I made them comfortable enough that at least they have the will to continue their species. Which, I mean, I feel like if they don't want to do that, they're probably not feeling very happy. So when you know that they do that, you're doing the bare minimum. You've got them at least content enough that they're functional as an organism, as designed by the Almighty. Um, so there's something I like about that, and I really miss, and I think I need it back in my life. One tank that has cichlids or something that takes care of its young that we can watch grow up together, because that's always really fun on the channel. And you guys also get to see that, and then I can also sell the babies when they get old enough, send them out to y'all and all that stuff. Asha says, I found some King Yama rice fish fry in a bucket today. Right on. That's awesome. There's a couple people who just mentioned that they bought some moonlightaquatic.com. They got some rice fish from Chang recently. Somebody got the 3-color, somebody got the blue Miyuki, another person got the red cap and the 3-color. So I've asked all of them, hey, can you send me pictures of their fish once they're settled and happy? And also I'd love to see the next generation too. We do have the Discord, so y'all can check that out and share on Discord or on the Facebook page or whatever. There's a number of places you can share video or share pictures of what you're up to, and I like that. But also we had a request last week for people wanting to submit their aquarium and then hear my take on what could be better. And I will do that, but I will only do it in a constructive manner, in the sense of like, you let me know, are you worried about your fish's welfare? Are you worried about them breeding? Are you worried about one of them is being nippy and you just want help with that? And then you send me a picture or a minute-long video of your tank and some of the fish just doing their thing. Or do you need help picking out plants for the light and the setup you have? Show what you have, share it, post a link onto a YouTube channel. You can make one even if you have no subscribers or anything. You can still set up just with an email that account and then link to me the video, or you can post the video on a number of places, Discord, other ways. So email me or Discord me or Facebook me, and as some of those trickle in, I'm happy to share and to do that. But let me know what it is you want out of me. Like, oh, I want help with aquascaping, or your thoughts on what would look good here, or how to get more nitrates out of this. My nitrates are running high. What would you do? Or, happy to help as long as there's a goal, because I don't want to just dive in on tanks and pick them apart for things that aren't fair, because maybe you don't give a damn about the fact that you have a glass bottom tank, and I'm saying like, oh, well, you got to have sand or something on the bottom, otherwise it looks like a sanitary like prison cell. Well, that's fine if it's just like, a spawning chamber or something. It's a good way to prevent disease and to keep things clean and to clean up debris. Aquarium Boss Canada, give us your soul. Yeah, you can have it. You guys can all have. Hello, take another little piece of my heart now, baby. But by heart I meant soul. Let's see here. Ollie the Puffer, yeah, you got like 10 subscribers, but you got your own videos on there. That's how my channel was for years. I have all the way back I got a message on, if you go on Social Blade and you look up my channel by Secret History Living in Your Aquarium or Fishtory, you'll see that I have a video that's from like 2007 or something crazy, and it's me, and I drew out in freaking Microsoft Paint. I drew out the genetic genotype Punnett square, not with 2 letters, because at that time we didn't have 2 letters sorted. We would do the pattern and then we would do the color, and they were separate, and then we kind of compare. But we didn't know enough about how the interplay worked to put them into Punnett squares, where you have like A, little a, B, little a, like 2 or 3 different alleles or different genes that you're comparing. But now it gets very complex. But yeah, that's what was on my early channel, is a bunch of ridiculous stuff like that, that I was performatively posting for myself, and photoshopping very poorly 20 years ago. Just using the airbrush tool to like make the purple a little more like reddish or pinkish fuchsia colored on these purple Moscow cobras that I was working with, and then like copy and pasting the delta tail from a purple Moscow and a metallic blue lace. It was rather sad, but it's also rather endearing. And I don't think I deleted those videos. You can probably find them if you look hard enough. But also, Jan, thank you so much. I'm glad you like the live streams, and you hope everyone has a good weekend too. Jan spends her money to tell everyone to have a good weekend. What a wonderful woman. And I think to myself, what a wonderful fish. Lisa, what is going on? Good to see you. We got mollies for our first fish. I had no idea live bearers were the shit. When the fish fry showed up, I was hooked like a bass with a hook in my lower lip. Fish, Molly's trip. Lisa, loving it. Good first fish story, digging it, doing it and doing it and doing it well. It's like this and like this and like this, Santa. It's like that and like that and like that. And so a movie I saw as a kid, we'll go walk around in a moment, but I watched this movie as a kid, and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what a foul movie. What a crazy movie. There'll never be such a crazy movie ever again. How did somebody allow this to get made? Oh my goodness. About the movie, and the movie's called Kids. If you guys remember that one from 94, 95 with Chloe Savini and what's his name? The guy who wrote it's kind of famous for being kind of a freaking weirdo. David Foster Wallace, I think. But anyways, it's a real dark interpretation of kids living in New York City in the 90s, and like drugs and AIDS and all sorts of terrible things. Essay and very. Oh, dang. Somebody said they went to school with Chloe. Wow. Small world, huh? And yeah, it was they all got AIDS. Yeah, that's basically the moral of the story, which is interesting because like that was the time period where if you guys were alive then and not just like tiny kids, you probably remember it was like everyone was like, whoa. I mean, and in the 80s, I can't say I was too young or wasn't alive, depending on what time in the 80s. But even by like 94, 95, they started coming up with some medications. And it was thought that like, okay, we might have a handle on this a little bit, maybe, but it's still a death sentence, And my mom, who did runway makeup and theater makeup, and she also did like Aerosmith makeup when they would come and perform on the West Coast. She would follow that leg of their tour and help do their makeup and hair with 2 other gals. My mom also was Sharon Stone's personal makeup artist, as well as a number of other people when I was young. But my mom worked with a lot of men who, unfortunately, in the hairdressing and fashion industry, did not survive. And so I was raised by a lot of these guys around when I'd be on like the side of a runway or a movie set, and I'd just be like drawing or coloring, you know, like a kid. And at the time, it just seemed normal to me, but they were these really flamboyant, big personalities. And I would always remember like how funny some of them were and just like outgoing. And if you're a shy kid, you're kind of like, don't give me too much attention. Like it's kind of awkward, but at the same time, it's like this guy in, you know, in LA, everyone's just kind of into themselves, or New York, and especially on set, everyone's busy doing things. So I always thought it was cool when they would like bring me and be like, hey, you want to see how we, you know, how we cut this fabric, or how we're going to make this special effect, or, you know, whatever it may be. Like, what, you want to see me airbrush this crazy makeup or this like wound special effect? And I was always like, yeah, I want to see how you do the latex, you know. And they're like, oh, you just use rubber cement and it looks just like skin and you stretch it out, you know. Like as a little kid, I thought that was super cool, you know, like 10 years old or whatever. But during that same period, almost every single one of her coworkers and close friends in that world ended up getting that and not surviving. And then oddly enough, if they didn't if they did survive, like the 10% or whatever it ended up being that survived that, they're still alive today. It's wild. So I don't know what made the difference, and you know, if it's a genetic thing or a strain thing or what, I don't know. But we still, my family still knows a lot of people. My dad had a good friend growing up who was a hemophiliac, and he was one of the few kids early on in the late 70s, early 80s who ended up contracting it through the blood banks. And that was another like really big tragedy. But because of that, early on, my dad had a lot of sympathy and interest in the topic, even though my dad was kind of like a bro-y guy, like not who you'd expect back then. He wouldn't have been tolerant of the drag queens and their plight, but he was understanding of the fact that it was a disease that could impact everyone. So anyways, that movie, I don't know why I'm mentioning it necessarily, but it came on and I watched it and I had it built up as this crazy thing in my head. And yeah, it is a raunchy movie. It is a hard movie to watch. It's painful to watch now in hindsight, because you're like, man, are little boys that, like little boys, 15-year-olds, whatever, 12-year-olds, are teenagers and preteens, are they that like foul mouthed and like diabolical? Like I guess I had a different friend group. Like we'd like firecrackers off and I don't know, spray paint stuff, or maybe somebody would, you know, steal some lollipops out of the corner store or whatever. But you know, that movie, they're all fired up about some pretty dark stuff, some pretty toxic masculinity traits, to say the least. Anyways, let's see the shrimp. Okay, let's get going. I don't even know what dude, hook it up. I want to see Basic Instinct Hottie. I will get you Al Pacino. I have nudie shots of Al Pacino, Fish Dad, and I'll get them to you. All right. Ba ba da ba da ba dee 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 dee. I'm dreaming.
This is that stuff I collected from the lake, or the river, actually, from the river.
Somebody sent me a video here. Just fired up because it was a text that was a push notification. But somebody's looking. Let's solve a mystery together.
But check this out. So I'm curious what type of. I don't think these are. I don't think those are parasites. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm curious.
Those are detritus worms or nematodes. He sees these little worms in wood he collected in a creek. Now they could be worms that are like pinworms that get into the gills of fish. That's a real possibility. They're probably not, but the leech thing, the fish leech thing, that's very realistic. This guy got these in cold water, and they came out of the wood. They were like in pieces of wood he was soaking to put in his aquarium, and it lives near me. And so those very thin, white, almost like string-like, no eyes, no square head, no triangular head, no oval head. Like they don't have a head to speak of. They just look like a straight line that's a ghostly white or pink. Those are generally and maybe an inch or half an inch long, and they just kind of move in the current. Those are generally either a nematode, like technically speaking, or like a little roundworm of some sort, like a detritus worm or something. If they are something like a flatworm or a pinworm, that's when, or a leech, that it is possible they could just be very young, but you know, it's one of those situations where should you put it in your aquarium? I would watch it, honestly. I would probably put it in whatever it's soaking in, where he's got it at home, and just let it chill, and make sure that it doesn't grow into a leech. Or maybe put one guppy or something in there to see how that goes and see if the guppy eats it. And then if that poor guppy gets a worm, you would know. Now, am I being overly cautious and also thinking in the mindset of, yeah, well, this insect or this life form is not from the tropics. It's not like on the fish. It's in wood, in temperate climate. That can go one of two ways. It could mean that it's totally harmless. It's not evolved to even like live at the blood temperature of a fish, you know, or it could mean that it's something that the fish has never encountered before, biologically speaking, and has no defense for. So it can go either way. It could be a good thing or a bad thing when it's so alien. And that's why I don't just recommend the whole father fish, just dumping a jar of whatever you scoop out of the bottom of leaves into your tank. I recommend watching it for a few weeks or a month, making sure there's not big, duck leeches. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff like protist and stuff too that you just don't see, that could be in there, like chiggers and little things like that. So it's a gamble when you do that. If you bring them, Fish Dad says the only thing I've found that eats leeches is coolie loaches and bettas, gouramis, platies, not guppies though. Yeah, you know, I've found it depends completely on the species and on the what you're feeding and what the setup is in the tank. If you have a tank full of nothingness, then I mean, they're going to eat algae. They're going to eat biofilm. They're going to peck at anything. Most fish will. Right now, actually, let me fire this up. Let me make sure we don't get any wicked reverb. Wicked reverb. Also, you know, I said it in passing, and I said it during a live stream when I popped up on someone else's stream the other day, but I do again want to say that I am sad to hear that Eddie passed away. Vibes Aquatic. That's a super bummer. He was always really nice to me. We weren't super close, but we've had plenty of conversations and been in the same chats, and uh, that's a bummer because he was actually very close to a number of my friends who I would consider myself like very close to. People I would stop whatever I'm doing and drop to go help if there's anything I could do. Even if it took hours. Um, so yeah, but vibes, unfortunately, I think I can share this because his GoFundMe was doing well. I don't know if they reached their goal yet, but I think they did. Um, uh, it's up. So many people have shared it. I think fishfamily.link has information on it, which their bot probably is in my chat. Unless somebody happens to have the link handy. But Asha, you were there in Dallas with him. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's freaking lame. There's been people over the years, and it sucks every time. Like, Aquarium Cop was one of the first ones where there was a group of us that had been kind of tight knit for at least 3 years, and then all of a sudden we lost someone out of the blue. Now, there's been a number of people who've also had cancer and other things, and we kind of knew it was coming. It still doesn't make it easy, doesn't make it better, but it's just you don't know what to say when it's out of nowhere. Also, you know, I don't want to get into it, but we had a couple of very young creators also. Um, they just felt like they couldn't fit in with the world, and with what was going on, and life was just overwhelming, and chronic illness was a factor in a couple cases. But three different young creators that had at least a couple thousand people following each of their channels in the last 4 years, starting with who is not a secret. And his family, the way they approached it to me was very cold, and they basically said like he could have been a musician or a doctor. He could have been a symphony conductor or a doctor, and he wanted to play with fish. That was one of the first things they said to me when I said that I knew him through YouTube, when they were going through his email contacts and seeing like, who's this guy that our son's been talking to. And we lost him. I never shared this information with you guys, but I will now. Mrijal Singh, who we lost a number of years ago now, 3, I guess. He took his own life at Baltimore Medical Center, and or the Maryland Medical Center, Baltimore, Maryland Medical Center, parking garage. And for one reason or another, at 21, he couldn't deal with it. And, that crushed me, knowing that he had all of our numbers, and we all thought he was, wise beyond his years and stuff. But the thing you have to remember is you can be wise beyond your years, but that doesn't mean you've experienced life and you get that things get better. You get that there's always tomorrow. If you're happy today, well, sorry to tell you, tomorrow might be sad. But if you're sad today, sorry to tell you, tomorrow might be an awesome day. You just never know. If I can promise you one thing, it's that there is no consistency to life in the long run. It is it's up and down. It's a roller coaster. And anyways, so vibes. I wanted to say that yes, he was at his sister's wedding right after Dallas, and they don't know for sure yet, but they thought it might be food poisoning. So I was really shocked by that. Hey, Sumi, come here, baby girl. The cat just jumped straight up in the air. That's wild. But yeah, he was a really kind guy who was really supportive of other channels. He was like, and I don't like, some people would take this in a weird way, and so don't, just shut up. Uh, but he was like a cheerleader of a lot of channels, and that means a lot to a lot of us, in that, whether he was supporting the channel, doing, super chats, or whether it was just like, hey, I'm sharing it on Facebook, that there's this interesting talk, or hey, dude, I found this article. Like, this is just really thoughtful. And, the fact that he was, in that case, he just random dumb luck, sickness, not luck, obviously. It's just so sad. So anyways, I wanted to give a shout out to anybody who's hurting from that, and anybody who was close with him. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people were much closer than I with him, and lean on the community. Don't go alone if you're feeling overwhelmed by, like, why is all this bad stuff happen, or oh, the world's expensive, this, that, whatever it is. Like, you can get into these negative thought spirals very easily, and I understand that all too well. But lean on each other, stay active, and sometimes you just got to tread water and keep your head above the water, and just tell yourself that no matter what, you're at least going to keep treading water. And that means, like, taking care of, if you got kids, you got to take care of your kids. If you got a parent, or a spouse or someone who needs you, you got to do that. If it's you and you need to be here so that you can do those things in the future, potentially, take care of you. That's the spot I'm in right now, where it's like, yeah, I've got some aging parents, and right now, knock on wood, they're doing okay for a few years stretch, but for a while they weren't. And that's why I moved back home, and how I met my wife. And you never know how life is going to twist and turn. But ideally, we all take best care of ourselves, and we mentally, emotionally, with our hobbies, with fish keeping, with de-stressing, with meditation, whatever it is that you do. A lot of this community can be a part of that for us. And yeah, so don't struggle with any of this alone, you guys. We are here for you. And yeah. How is my cough, Lisa? I am doing a lot better with the cough. I have, let's see, I still have a wheeze. Whoops, sorry, I should have muted that. But if I tempt it, sorry, mute that. It's still pretty chunky down low. Like, I can't, I'm not going to be running any marathons yet, but yeah, it's getting better. It would probably help if, yeah, actually, thank goodness I don't smoke herb, because that probably, when I used to do that, I know some people are like, oh, it clears my cough, blah, blah, blah. Well, for me, it didn't. It would give me, when I'd get a cold back, when I did that every day, I would have a cough for like a month or two at a time. And I just thought, like, totally worth it. And I look back on that and I'm like, no, not totally worth it. Or hangovers, not totally worth it. To me, to each their own. All right, guys, let me fire up the mobile cam. The mobile cam. 045 and 268, baby, that's all we need. Oh no, I totally got you, Fish Dad. And honestly, I agree. Like, if you want to, if it didn't give me anxiety, I would be right there with you on the whole partake in whatever it is that calms you down, as long as you're not doing it like every day, all day. and go sit in nature, go to the beach, watch the sunset, sit in front of your aquariums for an hour, listen to your favorite album. Let it get to, you know, if you got vinyl, let it play, flip it once, then let it get to the end and start. You hear that arm come back off and go quiet. That's how you know you've had enough time to sit there, and at least that's the minimum time. Okay, AquaHype, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm having technical difficulties. Hold on. All right, let's turn this off. Listen, I don't want you guys to get deafened. So hold on. Deafened. Oh, turn that down. Oh. Oh wait. Oh wait. What? I'm so confused. How did? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Boy. All right. I'm gonna see. Boy, that's bad quality video, but we'll see what we can do. Get out of here. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Boy, there's a better life for Sumi Sue. Baby girl. All right. So here's the fancy ADA tank. Hey, Sketty, good to see you. Come on in, the water's fine. Also, Randy Medina, Fancy Cole Medina. Hey, look at that, the betta there. Not betta. That's not the right word, Alex. That gourami, the yellow honey gourami right here. They're eating the algae off that wood. Now, I decided that I actually like the algae that's growing on the wood. What I realized though is that the stone I used is absolutely the worst. It's a quartzite. And I forgot this from another tank that I had. But you see the blue stone back there? The blue stone, rather than the dark black quartz, doesn't gather algae hardly at all. So like back here, this stone hardly has any, the lighter color ones. But the textured brownish black ones that I thought would look like a fire pit more, I've had to fight the algae with a toothbrush, with just nonstop. It's been absurd. So what I said about having a fancy what do you call it? Fancy aquarium setup, like an AGA ADA setup. Look at all the purling going on those leaves. I was saying though that it's a lot of work to keep up with the substrate with their system. And here you can see that like the roots, they grew right down in, no problem. Like they've showed up no problem all the way to the bottom. They've gone all the way for the nutrients of that power sand. But I'm convinced that all the 5 additives, the tourmaline, the charcoal, all that stuff was too rich to add to the aqua soil in a tank this size. And I think it's overkill, and I think that I wouldn't use it if I did all this again, because look at this. This is like shag carpet. So I'm going to try switching out the stone. And I know that eventually I could either just time this with enough care and enough water changes that I can get rid of all of the algae too. But I don't want to just have this thing only on 5 hours a day. Like that's no fun. I want to see the fish. I want to grow the plants. I want the plants to have nice color. I don't want to have to worry about the algae all the time. But that's what I was saying about the whole ADA method is if it is a few month process where it really is just this hot, like there's this much ammonia, this much nitrogen that just totally overloads everything, then it eases off. I'm okay with it if it eases off, but if it doesn't ease off, this is a nightmare. Like I wouldn't ever work with a tank that runs this hot, that you have to deal with the algae with CO2 at near limit levels. Now, granted, I do have these great little gouramis that I love. The little honey gouramis, sunset gouramis, whatever you want to call them. They can take as much CO2 as I want to throw at them. So I've got 7 of them in here, I think. And I've got 2 of these powder blue dwarf gouramis. And they're lovely fish. The powder blue dwarf gourami males can be a little bit aggressive, but for the most part, no big deal. No harm, no foul. They're pretty chill. And they don't fight with the other gouramis. Now, the other gouramis that I had, the little sparkling gouramis, were absolute freaking monsters. But anyways, here we go. You can see this tank is really, I mean, this stuff, I cut this last live stream, and you can see some of the pieces just took some time to break away again. But some of the pieces are just growing so fast when they're right under the light that they're literally 2 feet at 3 feet long almost now. These are super rotalis, and I could cut them, but again, look at this. They want nutrients because they're growing so fast compared to all the other plants. Do I give them the nutrients and then the algae also has nutrients, or do I starve them of the nutrients and put out these suckers and I have to trim the suckers? Battle. And it's kind of also, do I want the them to be a little starved of food and energy, because then I can get this kind of flowery look that when you look straight down on the plants, you get a gradient of the pink and of the yellow and the green and the peach. Like these tones come in like down here on this one that I'm showing you between my fingers. It comes in with green, lime green to like bronze to brown or orange, then to red, and then to purple. And I like that transition. Same with on my, same with on these bushy Cabamba Furcata Pontanal. they're super bright pink at the top. And then I've also got like my super red Ludwigia and Rotala in here, but you can see the super red Rotala mini. This is Rotala nongensis. Or no, Atros, sorry guys. This is Atros, which is like that purpley one. But the one here that is kind of crazy, it's got like fuchsia with lime green right there together. That one is the I think I like that. That might be my favorite plant, other than the kabamba in here. These are neat too. These will turn white if I grow them too fast. Like you can see here, the tip of this, it will turn white. And these grow so fast. I can't even begin to tell you. That is 3 feet tall easily. I mean, this is absurd. And I cut that. So this has grown in a week over 1.5 feet above the water line. I cut it to the water line. And again, I cut and let to see what would happen. And again, it was line, and here we are. I mean, I use the turkey baster to suck up any of these floating little hairs or extra plant debris. And then I am just constantly with this tank, I'm cleaning up anything from cat hair and dust all the way to the needles of all these fine leaf plants. I could use a little strainer, like a net, which I have right here. But I actually enjoy using the turkey baster and kind of combing through the substrate like this, kicking it up with the air a little bit, and then you see the fish poo-poo and kind of suck up anything that you don't need. And again, like I said, this substrate is so incredibly high in nutrients because of the way ADA makes it and saturates it, that I don't. I mean, it's too hot as is. I don't want fish poop making it stronger. Whereas in my normal way of fish keeping in aquariums, I actually would be super happy that the fish were pooping and that the little spheres, everything was falling in between them, and that we were starting to get a layer of the superfine mulm. Well, instead of getting a layer of that superfine mulm with this system, you start getting these cyanobacteria, and they tell you right away, oh, just use a credit card to get rid of it. Well, this isn't harmful. This cyanobacteria is actually related to spirulina. Now, there are harmful kinds, and you don't know until you know, but the only reason I know this isn't harmful is because some of it was showing like this, like where you can see here, like see how it's showing down here in the corner. Let me get it. I'll show it off in the corner. It was showing off, and I was like, man, I hope the fish don't get any of that or whatever. I hope it's not a toxic cyanobacteria. And so then I was churning it up like this and managed to get, where is it? A good old chunk of it like that. And some of the substrate around it and all of this. And so you can see it floating by right here. And I sucked it up. But if I don't do that, watch what happens. Let's see if I can give a little piece to these gouramis. Freaking love it. Like to them, it is like spirulina. So let's see. Does he want it? Yeah. See, he ate it right away. So they actually have gone out of their way to go dig for the cyanobacteria, but they don't want whatever this fuzzy bacteria or fuzzy algae is on the rock. This hair algae or whatever. It's not like blackbeard algae. It's the very soft shag carpet algae, which I should know the name of by now, but I haven't memorized it. I can never recall it when I need to. I'm a bad aquarist. Also, on the third attempt at a carpet, found that we were too hot on the carpet. the first few rounds. And so again, you see the algae forming. This is Braziliensis, however it's Lepsisa. Is that the genus name? Latipsisa, Latipus. I don't know how to say it, but it's doing well now. Also, we've got the Guyana here. We've got Stellatin Dawson is another kind of fine leaf plant that I only had a few sprigs of that now there's enough of that I've split it up a few times. Some of my hybrid Ludwigias are in here just for fun. They're all going to get pulled out again when I have to do any sort of photo shoot for the guys at a Aqua Design Amano in Japan. If they want to see my quote unquote weird flame tank with the fire in the center, they're definitely gonna have to give me a minute to trim all this too. I'm not seeing anybody's comments anymore, and let's see here. Can I get them to refresh? I don't think I can. I don't know. Let's see here. Hello? Howdy. Assyrian. Okay. I see one. All right. Okay. So I still got you with me, I guess. But I was also going to show you guys this before we hop and look at the other tank. This is the other thing I want to show you. The Potomac-Eaton Gay, looking really good, looking really bronzy. This is the one that we wanted to look like flames along with the Crypspiralis tiger. And love that crypt. I mean, look at the crypt. It is getting huge already in here. I mean, it's only what are we at? A little over 3 months. And this thing was a tissue culture in a little cup. And now it's above water as a crypt. That's pretty impressive. So I will say that the fact that algae and things that this tank has been so hot is incredible for certain plants. So like this one, I want you guys to burn this into your memory for a moment. So take a look at this triflora. This is Hygrophila triflora. And I have always killed this plant. It always looks like garbage. Like I can barely keep it alive. And here you can see it's got like actually some pink in it, and the veins, and some red and some orange, some lavender up here. And it's a big bushy plant. Now it's starting to grow like an actual weed. It looks something like Hygrophila coriambosa. And I've actually had to trim it. And then let's see, where's that piece that I trimmed? Yeah, right here. So I just was letting it float to see what kind of sucker roots it puts out in a matter of days. And look at this. In a matter of days, let me pull this other piece up. But in a matter of days, it already had these bottom roots it was already having, but now it's starting to put out these. So it really wants nutrients, and it was getting all of that from the soil. I mean, look at that pink and orange color up top. So it was getting all that from the substrate. So plants that are heavy substrate feeders are just kill it in this tank with the ADA system. I will say that. But I'm used to dealing with a little bit poorer of a nitrite load, potassium, everything load, and not always having the CO2 on. And so remember this plant just for a moment. We're going to come over here into the living room back where we've got the lake inlay. I mean, very loosely, this is a lake inlay tank. But when we look at the Hygrophila in here, it is pathetic. If I can find even a piece for you. I mean, it looks, you're going to be like, what the hell? That's the same plant? That's one that's very malnourished. that little thing that looks like a sprig of rosemary. Yeah, that's pathetic. And then where there's got to be another one. I had another one around here somewhere that we replanted just for giggles, just to keep it alive as an example to show. Oh yeah, right here. That's the best I can grow with this more organic system. So now again, you're seeing that certain plants are kind of prone to algae anyways. Like you can see that this new plant that I have in the other tank also kind of gathering some algae. But the kabamba, not really any algae. Even the Stellatin Dawson, much skinnier and smaller here, but no algae. The Crypspiralis here are the other ones that I planted from that tissue culture. Not too bad, not too much algae. My purple aflame, not too much algae. All the Ludwigias back up in here, they're just kind of doing their thing. Some of these are so freaking tangled. This is Bacopa lemon Bacopa, as they call it. But yeah, so the fish in here, you know, we got inlay danios, we've got Malawa shrimp, and the Malawa shrimp, we're trying to get their numbers back up. And so I'll tell you that they're in this tank for sure. Right now, we're in the process of getting rid of this last bit of algae in here that's been driving me nuts. And what I need to do is truly get the filter going better or do more water changes. At this point, there's too much organic debris for even a planted aquarium that is like, it's basically not getting any water turnover. You can see the Kythit Danios back in there. They're kind of hiding. But they're also eating the baby shrimp. So there's a baby shrimp that's trying to get away. There's a lot of snails in here. Also, I can say that my cherry or mango loaches, whatever you want to call them, rosy loaches. I like the name rosy loach or mango loach. But the mango loaches absolutely look electric in here. They've been spawning. I haven't seen there. Here's a female that's in spawning condition, but I haven't seen any of their fry. So something's eating their fry pretty much immediately. I'm fairly certain. And then we've also got the Tin Winnie Danios that are pushing 4 or 5 years now. This group, and probably won't live a whole lot longer. High-fit Danios as well, and these Harlequin Rasboras also getting pretty old. So everybody had a group of about 8 or 9 at one point, except for the Tin Winnies. I had a group of 15, but I took 6 and split them into a different group. Now over here, this is, I don't have any excuse other than Alex is a lazy bastard. And you can see all the little aphids and all the little, if I squirt my turkey baster here, which do as I say, not as I do, because if this tank had algae and the other tank had algae, now they all have algae. Well, all my tanks all have the same algae, so don't worry about it for me. But for you, switch up your turkey baster, your net, your tweezers, your scissors, or sterilize them in between if you have algae that you don't want or cyanobacteria that you don't want from tank to tank. So right now, this tank is set up to grow out all this long pontonal grass. And I'm experimenting to see if I can get the, and watch this as I do this, it's kind of fun. So as I part the grass, a lot of times what we'll see, if I do this another way, like let me part it again, you'll see that there are shrimp, there are snails, there are little baby shrimp, there's little scuds, Daphnia, there's little teeny tiny little fry. And some of them are tetra fry, and some of them are live bear or endler fry, as you can see, that are kind of, most of them are hanging out up here. Most of the endler and tetra or endler fry and stuff, they're all up in here. I mean, all throughout this tangle, right? But down below, we've got like over 20 now reed tetras, and they're just kind of in this mix, and they're scared a little bit right now. Oh, whoa, look, guys. Sumi is decided to jump on my back and hop up onto the aquarium, which is not where you're supposed to be, baby girl. You know what I found out, guys? She's not crazy. I mean, she might be crazy, but she's not crazy due to her interest in the water in the aquariums. I mean, one, she wants to go mess up my wife's flowers right there. That's what she really wants. But yeah, these aphids and springtails, look at all these baby fish that are eating. So I don't even need to feed these baby fish until they're like half an inch to an inch long at least. I mean, look at this. Watch them all go jumping. If I zoomed in and post a video of this up close, I mean, you can see just how many of these freaking things there are, let alone like if I find the bottom of not every leaf, but they'll find a leaf they like this one here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Whoops. Look at that. Like under that leaf, those are all aphids. And on the back, it's all springtails, little white springtails. But if I take a turkey baster and go, bye guys, you're falling into the water, and then I even just make a path like this where the surface tension can go to the front of the tank, you'll see that all of those little guys are in kind of this little river that formed. And now I can squirt that river, the top of the river, all those little jumpy guys and aphids and stuff. They're all at the surface here for all those baby fry to eat. So that's kind of cool. Now, the thing that I don't love about this setup right now, as I'm playing with experimenting, having all of these deep tank or rather deep stem plants, and then kind of the background of a wall of Anubias and rock. I was shocked that my Logonandrum eboldi are doing so freaking well. And look at all the little aphids. So the aphids don't eat holes in these aquatic plants. These are aquatic aphids. I'm just going to look at this. Look at them all right here. The fish are just having a feast. They're just so happy. All those live bears, so happy. But in here, and we got some Malawa shrimp in here. You know, they're just kind of in here to have a backup population. I don't know how many, not many are breeding and surviving in here, but I just thought some, probably not most, but some would survive. And that was the entire point, was to just have another tank where some Malawa would survive. So in here though, my red and my watermelon and my flame Logonandras, the three of them have come to life when I didn't do any trimming, which is like, what in the hell? I've done like I've been the bad fish, or not fish, the bad plant horticulturalist, and yet they look better than they looked when they were out in the open, and I was keeping them pristine, and I was trying to catch every snail that was on them. And also, like, my Madagascar lace plant is putting up shoots. So is my Rosen Maiden. I don't get it. Cat, get off my back. I said, cat, get off my back. And then here, you guys can see all the aphids and all the mama aphids. I'm washing them off. Oh, mommy, no! Sorry, guys. There are plenty of aphids. I don't think I could get rid of them if I tried. Thank you very much. Anyways, also new Anubias plants popping through. you know, there's stuff going on back here. Some of my Ludwigia old cuttings kind of popping up through. The rabbit ear hybrid Anubias still trucking along. On this side, we've kind of cleaned out most of it. So this is more Fraseri and natural. There's some Cophifolia too. Whereas the rabbit ear stuff, there's the last clusters here. And I trimmed just massively the Anubias. There's also all this stuff like where the leaf died on the filter over here. Hold on. Just trying to see if I can show you guys all the fry here, because there's a bunch of reed tetra fry right here. So the whole point of this snaggle is that there's no big fish in here. And so I wanted to see if we could get the reed tetras, which they're in here now. They're coming back now that they're scared of my hands big time. I can kind of come behind them sometimes and scare them forward like this, and then you'll see them. Yeah, here they come. See them there? And they're mature now, which is cool because they got their big ventral trailers and stuff. But they're definitely separate from the live bears that hang out up top. They're kind of two separate worlds, and their fry hang out in the back, and the live bear fry will 100% eat the hell out of the tetra fry if they get near each other. So they definitely need their own ecosystem. All the what do you call them? All the why can't I think of them? Snow white bristlenose plecos. They're back underneath these areas. There's a hollow tunnel that runs all the way from here. It's just made out of roots, but there's a tunnel that runs the full 3.5 feet down, and they like to hide up in it. And basically, I just drop algae wafers in this back corner, and I don't really ever see them anymore, which is pretty lame. But yeah, look at the color of that mango loach here. Look at how beautiful that is. They don't get brighter than that. I never even see them that bright online, like pictures. But I've had them spawn in many tanks in the past. So that's going on there. Cat, be good. Be good, sweetie. Be good. We love you. Yes, we love you. Let's show you the fish room. The last bad plant dad. Yeah, that's right. Okay, here comes the fish room. Alex, what are you doing with the fish room? What are you doing with the fish room? Okay, so no fish, just a tank that is ready for fish. It could be a QT tank. It could be snails. I don't know. This has some exclamation point rasbora fry that I'm just finishing growing out. These don't have filters or anything. This has some rice fish that are wild rice fish. That's about it. That is a long, empty. I mean, it's not empty. It has Siamese algae eaters in it. And that's about it. It's got one or two other oddball fish that were big. And it has had no filter for like a year. And I don't even ever show it because there's nothing to see. It's just a mucky, planty kind of tank with, there's one Geo, Tapaho Geo in here that fought everyone he was with. There's some bloodfin tetras, and then mostly there's 3 Siamese algae eaters. And so I throw food with algae in it, like this stuff, like the Claudophora in there. So this is one of the Malawa backup tanks, and ta-da, we have at least 3 pregnant females right here. This is the red coal tank. And we have scuds in here. So that's a problem. I don't want the scuds in here. They will severely damage the population of my shrimp. So I don't know if I'll just restart. I mean, I could just reset like this tank and it'd be fine. The sparkling gouramis, they're in here. And there's some scuds and some sparkling gouramis here. You see them here. These were the ones that were too mean. These are the tanks that cooked. So literally all my Liberty mollies, they got a new home. Justice, a friend of mine from our aquarium group, drove several hours north to meet me, and he took them off my hands, which is great. They got a good home. The whole colony went, and he's going to try to breed them together, which is great. Then we got the one female betta in here that's just a domestic betta, like she's just a betta splendens. And there's two Mahachiensis females somewhere back in here. So it happens to be three females at the moment. The one male that was in this tank died. Everything died in this tank, so it's just the sparkling gourami. And then in here, the other thing other than the betta, the only other reason I'm allowing this tank to survive is these guys. So here's like a pregnant live bear, but these are the least killifish or Heteranda formosa, and there's a bunch in here, and I just let them spawn. I let them eat whatever's floating at the top. I'll sprinkle a little food here and there, but really it takes care of itself. It like they just do their own thing. You can see them in here. There's a good amount of them when you look at them swimming through the reeds. The most I've counted at once when I tried to collect them about a week ago was I found that there were about 15 fish that I could catch at once, and I didn't see any more loose. So I think there's a dozen or 15 Heteranda formosa swimming around. Then this is my long time rando tank, but surprisingly, this one has the Brachiodanio negropenis, which are the black line danios. Again, look at all the water aphids and insects on this tank here. Look at them on that piece of valve. That is like, watch, we'll flip this over for them. So we'll sink this so that they can actually get some of these, and we'll see if they'll come eat it. Check this out. See if they'll come eat. So here comes the Brachiodanio. Yep, they're coming to eat it all. As it floats to the top, they're all coming in to get whatever it has. So we got Hikari Danio, we got Mate Tetra in here. And again, no fish over here, just a couple shrimp because I got rid of that. So really, we've got this tank with 5 sparkling gouramis, 1 betta, a few Heteranda formosa, a couple random Danios, and the Mate Tetra in here, the blue Tetra from Colombia, as well as Hikari Danio. That's what that big Danio is in there. And then the last fish is there are ruby tetras in there. Then over here, not much of anything going on other than a couple rice fish and a couple exclamation points. Couple that I'm going to give away, Siamese algae eaters. Up here, no fish. Tank's gone, tank's gone, tank's gone. Live food, live food, live food. But I don't have anybody to feed the live food to. So this is another shrimp tank. This was my favorite. This had all the Moa and Skull Island Sahulensis. This had the Chinese gobies in it. This had all my Madagascar rainbow fish in it. Now it just has a backup for Malawa shrimp. I'm going to keep it probably from here to here, low, filled, algae, warm, no filter. It's just going to be a shrimp tank where they eat anything that's gathering algae, kind of like the other ones. And then over here, no fish in this tank anymore. It's just guppy grass and stupid algae, so I might toss the whole thing. Over here, we've got metallic live bears, 1 peacock gudgeon. Don't ask me why. I don't even know where he came from. And just the black chin metallic live bears are the other fish in here from Cuba. And there's probably, I don't know, 9 of them in here that are young. They're very little. So we're hoping they grow out to be big, strong, happy Cuba live bears. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. There's very hard water in that tank. Lots of snails. I need a pea puffer just to eat all these snails. Like, look at all these snails. I don't even have fish in this tank, and there's just snails. So then the last tank in the whole house
the whole stinking tank, the last tank in the house, sadly. Guess that'd be number 9 with fish in it, is the inlay red tail loach filterless. Now there were Florida natives in here. So there is a bluefin killie, 2 swamp darters, and what else is in here? Bluefin killie, 2 swamp darters. Oh, a pygmy killifish, which are kind of cool. And then there are the Lake Inlay red tail loaches. Now, the red inlay loaches, I also put some shrimp in here, Neocaridina coals. And this tank is not heated, so, and it's full of algae, which these lake inlay loaches like algae. I've seen them digging right over here now that there's no other species with them other than the okay, there are 2 darters and 2 killifish with them, but they really don't bother each other because the inlay loaches, the 5 of them that are left, the red tail inlay loaches, stay so low to the aquarium floor. But that being said, I could literally take this tank and toss it, this tank and toss it, put the shrimp in this tank, take the live bears out of this tank, put them down here. There's a number of things I could do. So literally, no fish, a few least killifish and a betta, just sparkling gouramis, no fish, a few big Siamese algae eater fish, a few random Danios and Tetras that could go into some community tank, and then a few babies that are growing out and no fish. So this place is a mess, and I do need to clean all of it and bring this couch out. And then what we need to do now that all this has gone on and that we've drained everything down, we've got rid of all the tanks that were extras, we threw away a lot of tanks or sold them. But you can see where when that whole ceiling caved in and it rained so hard, you can see all the damage. Even though this has been sealed again with the mold and mildew killing CLR, we've sealed it all several times and then sprayed it also again. All of this drywall needs to come down. So that basically means that at least this rack and this whole corner needs to come down so that we can take the drywall off the ceiling, the sheetrock off the ceiling, and at least off that corner. That being said, now we only have so many tanks running that we could put all the tanks into this singular rack and then have 2 out there and the 1 in here. But this is the last tank that I do care about, which is the 60-gallon that we never set up. I bought that right before. What are you doing, you bum? Get out of here. Get out of here, you bum. That was the last tank that I bought, thinking that I would do something grandiose with it before my health took a nosedive. Oh, so many years ago. No, a year and a half ago. So anyways, this tank, maybe 3 more months of flame tank style will go on. I'll probably make sure I get a nice carpet and get rid of all the algae. Maybe I'll pick a different stone and swap out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces ish, or find one longer piece. However it works, I might do that. I won't trip on the wood. This all can be trimmed up nice and tidy. But it's not worth doing with stem plants that grow this fast. I mean, literally, like, we were talking about, every day we're getting 2 or 3 inches of growth on anything that's under the center bar in just 6 hours of full on light, and then an hour at the beginning and an hour at the end. of 80% light. So I will say the light, the ADA light, is strong enough per se, but I wish I had my old tank set up so that I could try this light on a tank that I understand the ecology of already, if that makes sense. Whereas I don't get this, like, this tank is new because I followed the directions of the ADA Amano, philosophy of layering in all these different nutrients and things. And I've never even had this brown algae on a tank under 5 years old, like, ever. So that tells me that there's some nutrient or something in this setup that's very different than the other ones I've had. Also, the fact that the cyanobacteria is not harmful and that the fish want to eat it so bad is a different kind of cyanobacteria. Usually my fish don't give a damn about the cyanobacteria that's underneath the sand or that's in the front. They don't dig for it. But I've had tetras, I've had the sparkling gouramis, the honey gouramis, and these guys, and what else was in here? Oh, some guppies that were in here just for fun, just to watch what they do. They were in here also eating all of this cyanobacteria. So I think it's something similar to like a spirulina that they really want. But yeah, and then the next thing I'm going to install, the last piece of hardware I'm going to install in this is an inline aerator, which it's not just an aerator. It will be an aerator for oxygen, but it's also a CO2 diffuser right here. Thanks to Randy Medina, who sent me this. And I don't even know, like, it doesn't have an official brand. It's like a Chinese cheap off brand name, but you can see, you can look right through the whole thing. And then it's got a cylinder around it with an air stone that's hollow. And then you can pump in CO2. Some of them you can even pump in like several gases, like pure oxygen, if that's what you want to do, if you really want to super saturate things. But then it just, your inflow, your outflow, you just hook it up inline there and then run your CO2 into the side of it. And then that all happens after it's exiting the filter. Now, granted, this filter, it looks sleek. And I want you to hear this. That's the sound of nothing. Nothing. But, boy, at what price? This doesn't prime itself. This thing is like $500 to $700, depending on where, when you buy it, and the taxes. And when I take it apart for the first time, we're only going to be 4 months in, and we're going to look at what it looks like, because my flow on this freaking filter has already slowed to this. And it was like spraying at first. So while it is still coming out, it's coming out as like a hang off the back pen filter should. It's like 50 gallons an hour or something. It's not anywhere near the 400 it should be. So there's that. Now let me hop back to my computer. Does the cyanobacteria smell bad? No, it smells like earth. It smells like earthy, vegetative broccoli kind of stuff. Not even as bad as like cooked broccoli, like a fresh broccoli. Sorry, I'm just washing my hands before we go back to the computer. Also, so I don't scratch my leg or something and end up getting some crazy infection. All right, so let me mute this, hop back on. Mute. Boop, boop, boop.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? I'm a real wild child. I'm a real wild child. I'm a wild one. Ooh, baby, I'm a wild one. Springs are loose. I'm gonna hit them moves by moves. I'm a real wild one. I'm a real wild child. All right. Tommy, can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, my voice is so shot. Anyways, my wife bought soil tests for our garden. Apparently, our water or our garden is pretty alkaline. Surprised me. It does. Also, we have goddamn no nitrogen in our garden. So I said, "Hey, I got fish water. Maybe if you want to help me stock that big Amazonian 60-gallon, we could get some angelfish again, sweetie." And she was like, "No, hell no, I don't want to help you with that." I was like, "God damn it." So I gotta get completely on my feet so I can carry 50 pounds again. I don't care what they say about my back. My back's jacked. My back has been jacked for years and years. Once my foot can handle the weight, then it's a matter of like pain, and I'm willing to just like heave ho, lift 50 pounds. I can get there with my core strength. I know I can. But yeah. Also, in the other news, my mother, who worked in the makeup and perfume and runway and fashion industries, Christian Dior, Lancome, MAC, Estee Lauder, to name a few. She has a friend who continued in that line of work and is now the regional American president of Chanel. And she sent me this, and I hate it. I hate it a lot. Real stinky. But my mom's like, "You gotta tell her thanks." And I'm like, "Of course, I'm not gonna tell her that." Okay, whatever. So of course, thank you. It was very sweet of her. I appreciate that. I open it and I look up the price on this is $189 for this bottle of cologne for this size. So if anybody wants $180 bottle for $60, hit me up. Yeah, I'm gonna Lisa, I am gonna try to sell it. Like, I'm not usually in that mode or whatever, or I would think like, oh, who's somebody who would really like this? But I don't know any guys who would be like, I want to smell like a urinal cake and a little bit of like gin spilled all over my suit. I really just don't like the floral synthetic acrid scents. I hate them. I like the more musty patchouli, organic oud, and like vanilla, and like I don't mind the bourbon, whiskey, cinnamon, woody, like cedar. I don't mind that at all. But I hate the freaking like citrusy notes. I hate that. Good old urinal cake. Yeah, that's right. They spelled homie wrong. Yeah, that's right. Wicked freaking aquatics. Alex, you don't get them scuds out of the shrimp tank. You might as well let me help you raise them, or the scud's gonna kill you. Yeah, for sure, Johnny. Yeah, that was what I was trying the last few days. Was I was like, oh man, I got to get these scuds out of here, and then I was like, oh man, I don't think I can get these scuds out of here. And so that's when, yeah, literally 2 days ago, I was like, they got to go into a new tank. So I don't want to put all my shrimp in one basket. I don't want a basket of shrimp, right? I don't want the shrimp basket special at Ivar's or at whatever. What the hell was the name of that place everyone used to go to? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Popeyes. But yeah, no, I need to figure that out. And I'm hoping I can send you some soon. But you and Fish Dad are like literally the two people who have been waiting for like a year and a half each. And I feel terrible that like I've had so many problems. And I'm just trying to hold on to them and keep them spawning. But at this point, like only I know which ones were the red and the blue and the wild. And so basically I need to keep those 3 strains separate, but I also need to get them each up to like 60 or so before I'm willing to part with, say, 10 or 15 of each. So when that happens, they will come to you. Now, the smart thing for me would be to like technically wait another 6 months longer than that, which would mean like a year out, which is ridiculous, because then those 60 become 140 or whatever, you know, if they're left to breed. But yeah, anyhow, I've been keeping y'all long enough. And so I know Fish Dad and I know Johnny, I know you guys need some of them shrimps. And I want to get you them sooner than later. So I'm hoping when this round that I just showed you that's pregnant, I'm hoping of moving those pregnant females. They just got pregnant. So I'm hoping to move them. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, they'll have their babies, which I won't see for another 2 or 3 weeks. But then I should start seeing them pop up. So I'm kind of thinking in that tank that I said, oh, there's no fish in this tank. I think I might put them in there. And then and just let them go buck wild, and then catch all the parents out of there and give those to you guys, because those would all be fully mature and proven breeders basically. So that's probably the plan, but I don't want to sell a dream to you I don't want to sell you short of the dream of the plan. But you guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. I am starting to fade. My batteries are starting to go. Well, that's a flattering look. Got to get all 30 of my chins in there. My chins and it's good if I look like I'm drooling from my lip too. It's that kind of glazed donut leftover drool look, like Homer Simpson. Like the jowls too. I probably need a new facial hair look, because I think it's not looking like I don't grow them out long enough to look like, you know, chops or anything. And they're now they're getting fat and they're just kind of getting love handly. And it's like, I don't want a Fu Manchu. I don't want I don't know what this is. It's a pear. And I think I probably just need to, you know, go back to maybe a goatee or a beard fully, but I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing, guys. I'm just rambling. Hopefully I can get off all these steroids so I don't have a fat face. How do you get rid of spider mites on aquarium plants? Vinegar. You know, there's probably Google how to get rid of spider mites on herb, like on marijuana plants. And if you can find like a nice green, safe way to do it there, it's probably going to work in your aquarium too. But just remember, like, if you add a ton of vinegar, you're going to throw off the pH of your aquarium. But you can even clean like glass with vinegar and stuff. You can even clean like you can take a paper towel, spray it with a spray bottle with some you know, distilled household vinegar, like cooking vinegar, household vinegar, and you can clean the side of your glass with that. Same with citruses, things like that. That's fine, and it will dilute by the time it hits the water. Like, it's not going to harm your fish unless you drop like, you know, half a cup in or something. Unless you're talking about like a betta size container or something from like PetSmart. But if you got, you know, a 10-gallon, 20-gallon, 30-gallon tank, 40-gallon tank, I think you should be able to use any of those home remedies. I've seen like fixes for spider mites where you use red wine and a little trap you can make. I've also seen where you put the stem of anything that's immersed. You kind of make a little trap with a bottle inverted, like a funnel around the stem. I've also seen where you just spray and it's supposed to kill them. So there's a number of things I've seen out there, but I would trust any of the ones, like the people who are into their herb, they know how to get rid of them without damaging the product. That's for sure. Chris Lowell, good to see you, man. And Amy, good to see you as well. I might try to fit in one more stream. Before the end of the month, since it's a long month. And I just saw like my earnings report for the month will be like $1,100. No shame to you guys. This is all on me not making a bunch of content. That's on me. But on also the channel just being slow, the world being slow, people watching. I think people want to watch funny, uplifting stuff or really, really engrossing, like longer podcasts about like serial killers. Those seem to be doing well right now. No joke. But I think people are sick of gas and groceries. And like for a while, everyone was glued to the news and like kind of disappeared from like our hobby number wise, viewer wise. And now I think people kind of came back for a little bit and they're like, yeah, I do want to do some summer tubbing. Maybe I have enough money I can spare some stuff, buy a couple new fish. But then a lot of people are like, nah, I just need to pump the brakes and keep what I've got, make it last, maybe buy one or two nice things to add to the aquarium here or there. And I want to like escape, go outside. I want to touch grass. I feel like that's maybe where people are. Maybe I'm totally just like feeling that myself and putting that out there on everyone. But that's just kind of how I'm feeling, I guess. I don't know. 22 months as a member. I know that's a lie. You've been a member for way longer, I bet. But thank you very kindly. And thank you for joining us on the stream. Today, I think we only had like 40 people in here at max at a time. So we must have been going at the same time as a few other streams. And that's okay. I always have a good time with you guys. That's why I do like to try to throw in a stream though, like once a week if I can, or every other week where we do it like noon or like a breakfast and have more energy as a general rule. Like after this, I have to go take another nap, which is really pathetic for someone my age. But it is how I have to be for the moment. Holy smokes. Have a fun weekend getting off work now. Oh, you're off work. Hey, round of applause. Thank you so much. You have already given so much more than is necessary. All you have that are still here listening to me, going on and not quitting. When I should have hung up and shut up long ago. Thank you very kindly, Jan. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. And I may see y'all on tomorrow or the next day. If I go to Chang's tomorrow and I have time to film and it's not crowded with people, I'll film there. If not, I'll try to get some B-roll and bring back like my favorite rice fish that he has right now, or whatever he has an abundance of that looks like a good price, looks healthy, looks like something I'd buy and add to my collection. I might do a video like that as long as I get up there tomorrow. My dad said he wanted to go with me. And again, I said I can't get my truck up there, but I will. One, I'll either get my truck fixed sooner or later. That's got to happen this summer at some point, but between now and sometime summer, just so I can trust it up and over the mountains and stuff. I want to go out fly fishing and stuff when I can walk again fully. So yeah, but right now, no big deal. On and on the beat, don't stop till the break of dawn. You go on and on and on. Yeah, that's true. And the beat goes on, and the beat goes on. Let the song end. I don't know how that song actually goes. And the beat goes on like a something song. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you haven't heard it, I got a cheesy but pretty song for you guys. It's of a certain genre and age. If you're like old Gen X or older, you'll probably be like, this is cheesy. If you're Gen Z or younger, you'll probably be like, this is really cheesy. But if you're maybe Gen X to like millennial, old Gen Z, the song Southern Sun by Paul Oakenfold, the remix of Southern Sun by Paul Oakenfold. Really pretty song. It's techno, it's trance, it's like a very like symphonic rising string orchestra, but it's a fitting song for the way, like right now it was 80 degrees the other day and now it's 55 again, and it's like misty and raining in Seattle, and it's like I thought we were gonna have summer, and like it's just so dark, yet the sun doesn't set until 9 or whatever right now. But the song's called Setting Sun by Paul Oakenfold. I can't play it. I wish I could. But there's one for you that's a random that popped into my head. I promise nothing. May be terrible. May not even be good to the people that I said, oh, you'll like it. I might be lying. All right, guys. That and the other song, My Lucretia. Wait, is that the name of the song? Lucretia, My Reflection by the Colts. No, Sisters of Mercy. That's who it is. Sisters of Mercy's Lucretia, My Reflection. Now, there's a good song Gen Xers and above will like too. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll type them in the chat real quick. So we got Lucretia, which is like the name of the Greek, mythical Lucretia, My Reflection. Sisters of Mercy, who are like kind of one of the first goth groups. And I mean, you could argue that like the Bauhaus and Love Will Tear Us Apart vibe and Atmosphere by Joy Division was earlier, but okay. And then the other one was Paul Oakenfold, Southern Sun or Setting Sun. I don't know. It's either Southern Sun or Setting Sun. All right, pop those in your ear brains, in your earsticles. Thank you so much for everybody who came, who asked questions, who shared what their first fish was. I know that wasn't really an activity that lasted very long because everybody said it and then it was over in like 30 seconds. But who is your favorite player on the Mariners? Still Fish Dad's son talking. Probably Ken Griffey Sr. He still plays, right? No, I'm really out of who's playing. But I don't know for sure. I'm trying to remember who's even like for sure on our team this year. If anybody left that out of the main guys that that were kind of on the Mariners this last year that did so well, because I did not expect them to do well whatsoever. I mean, not at all. But they did. I guess what was it? Felix Hernandez. I don't know any of them by like if they're good people or anything. I apologize. Baseball's not my thing. I can only have so many fixations. And baseball's not one of them at the moment. Football comes and goes. Sometimes I liked football, but yeah. Anyways, Claire, good to see you. Rabbit Moon. There's another electronic artist called Rabbit in the Moon. Anyways, Fish Sun. Yes, Fish Sun is my favorite player on the Mariners. Alexander Fishin. All right, guys. Yes. Awesome note, Randall Ben. Thank you. I'm going to shut up for real now. Thank you, everyone, for coming, for chatting, for super chatting, for minor chatting, for major chatting, for lurk chatting. for chatting, Kathy, all of y'all. I always appreciate you. It's always good to have you know, always good to have you here. So I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll put one of those videos out and just say, Alex, put the damn video out. Stop second guessing yourself. I don't know why I have this. It's not even writer's block. It's also like fear of rejection or fear that I'm afraid of the algorithm. It's punished me so hard so many times that I'm like, it's not going to like it, and it's not going to push it, and then nobody's going to see it, and then I'm going to spend the time. Shut up, Alex. So I need to just jump back in, just start just hitting that speed bag and making content again. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. And I don't know when that'll happen. A lot of it's just been health. Hard to get into that beast mode when your health just sucks. So, but I love y'all. I really do. I really, 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 really do. Forever, ever, forever, ever. Later. I'm sorry.